Zooey Mama and Merry Christmas, everybody. We're about to come up on the new year 2024, and to kick things off, we are having a new season in Marvel Snap. The January season is Planet Hulk, and we've got a lot of cards coming. They're exciting, and there's 6 of them, including the Season Pass card. So I'm here to go over, give you a preview of all of these new cards, and give my initial thoughts on how fun and how good they're going to be. And I'm telling you right now, at least one of these is going to be overpowered and probably nerfed pretty quickly after it comes out, because these cards are looking crazy. This is from the data mines, so we may see a few changes from now until the cards actually release. We may see 1 or 2 points changes for cards' power or potentially the cost, but for the most part, this is how the cards are going to be. So let's jump right into it with Skaar. Skaar is the Season Pass card for January, which starts on January 2nd. And he's a 6 cost, 11 powered card with the ability that he costs 2 less for each of your cards that has 10 or more power. So kind of similar to She-Hulk, where when you meet a certain condition, he will be cheaper. Okay, now he costs 2 less for every card you have on the board that has 10 or more power. And it can be cards that as a base have 10 or more power, a card like, Sentry, but it can also be cards that were buffed up to be given 10 or more power. Maybe you hit some stuff with Shuri. And I think Skaar is pretty strong. I don't think it's too hard to have him be 2 cost. Okay, he could be a 2/11. That's very good. It's possible he's free. Notice he does not have a tag to have a minimum cost of 1 like She-Hulk does. He can literally just be free. He will be a 0/11. That's nuts, okay? And yeah, 10 power is a lot. You do need to get multiple of those cards on the board, but you can even have a 7-turn game. Maybe you're playing something like Lockjaw, and you've got all these big cards in one lane. Well, now you've got a really cheap or even free Skaar to play in a different lane, okay? Because it doesn't matter where your 10 power is, if it's spread out or all of the cards in the same lane. So I think that's pretty good, and that could work even with something like Havoc. It could work with Sunspot powering up. As an average, he's going to cost 4. Usually you're going to be playing a deck that can have good power in turn 5, but I don't think it's too hard to have him cost 2. I mean, even if you're playing like a destroy deck, you get Venom really big because you kill X-23 to get some extra energy. Maybe you play Arnim Zola or Null early, or you just play Death, and you just have a couple big cards. Skaar is going to be a 2/11 or 4/11. He's just going to produce good power. So overall, I think Skaar, he's moderately fun. He's not super crazy or interesting, but he's just good, big power, kind of fun to play, not super boring. Flexibility, I think, is there. Again, this can work with decks that like to go to turn 7, like High Evo. It can just work maybe with some Shuri decks or Destroy, just some of these decks that can really stick out big power. Okay, it's not going to work with the Ramp because you want to get him cheap to play alongside other cards, but I think he's going to find multiple homes, kind of like She-Hulk. Maybe not as flexible as She-Hulk, but we'll see. He might be. In terms of being good and competitive, I think it's there. I think he's a strong card. I'm not sure he's broken, so we'll see how that plays. I do think he's stronger than Sebastian Shaw has been, which I don't think is tough to beat. But I don't think Skaar is going to be as strong as Miss Marvel or Loki or Elsa. Okay, but I do think he's solid. I think he's worth getting, especially if you get most Season Pass cards. And he is coming out with the Spotlight caches of Caiera, High Evo, and Nebula. Now, Caiera is also a new card, so she's coming out the same week that Skaar is. So we can go ahead and look at her before we talk about this Spotlight cache. Caiera is a 3 cost, 4 powered card with the ongoing ability that your 1 and 6 cost cards can't be destroyed. Now, she's going into Series 5. She will be a full 6,000 tokens. And this is a pretty strong ability. It basically is just a direct counter to Killmonger. It even costs the same as Killmonger, which is 3. It does have 4 power. It's not an amazing stat line. It's okay, but a really strong ability. And it protects your cheap cards and your really big cards, except for with Alioth, because Alioth will kill your cards before they are revealed. but it's also global protection, and we've been losing some of that. Luke Cage no longer protects your cards in all lanes. Okay, it's only one lane now. And Elsa no longer buffs your cards in all lanes. It's only one lane now. But Caiera, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is going to be protecting your cards across the board. And what's really strong about Caiera is she's essentially reviving a very early game archetype. Okay, when you first start playing Marvel Snap, playing a Zoo deck is pretty viable. And then once you get to Pool 2, you unlock Killmonger, and Zoo decks go bye-bye. With Caiera, Zoo decks are back, okay? She will solo carry Zoo decks into the meta. You could have a bunch of one-cost cards plus Hitmonkey or something. I mean, she could really make some crazy combos. And so in terms of being fun, I think so. I think bringing back an entire archetype and letting people at any ranks play Zoo is going to be pretty fun and cool, okay? In terms of being flexible, she's not too flexible. You're mainly playing her in Zoo. You may play her in some kind of hybrid decks that have maybe 2 or 3 one-cost cards, and you want to play her instead of armor, or maybe you play her and armor. You're just like almost guaranteed to get some form of protection for your one-cost cards. Maybe it's even just like Nebula and Sunspot, something that can really power up. Being competitive, again, it's there. I think 1-drops have gotten significantly better over the past couple months. We even just had Martyr get buffed to be a 1-cost 5-powered card. And if you're playing Zoo, you can fill your board, so Martyr's not going to move to lose you the game. We've even got, just Hawkeye was buffed at one point, Ant-Man's 4 power. Like, there is good power and potential from 1-cost cards. It's just, they've never seen a ton of play all in one deck together because of Killmonger. But Killmonger is getting directly countered, so this changes everything. And I'm just talking about the 1-cost cards. She's also protecting 6-cost cards, which could even protect something like She-Hulk and Skaar from getting killed by Shang-Chi, okay? Because they're 6-cost cards. Even if you get their cost reduced to play them early, they're still 6-cost cards. It helps out Lockjaw potentially. Those cards can't get Shang-Chi'd. I mean, I think she's pretty strong. Is she game-breaking? I'm not sure. We're going to see how good Zoo is. We're going to see how good the Zoo and Hitmonkey combos are. But I think she's really strong, and currently it shows that she will be in Spotlight caches with High Evolutionary and Nebula. Both of those cards are amazing. High Evo also carries his own archetype, and Nebula is just very good, and she synergizes with Caiera. So I think Caiera is solid, and I think the Spotlight caches that she is in is about as good as it gets. So if you do not own High Evo or Nebula, you're definitely going to want to open Spotlight caches that week. Next up, we are looking at Hercules. Hercules is a 4-cost, 6-powered card with the ability that the first time another card moves to Hercules' lane each turn, you're going to move that card to another location. Now, this can happen once each turn. So on turn 5, you can move a card in, Hercules will then move it out. Turn 6, you can do it again. Okay, now it's important to note that Hercules himself does not first move the card. You're going to need something else to move a card into Hercules' lane. Whether it's, just bringing a card over with Ghost Spider or Doctor Strange or Phoenix Force, you're going to need to put something in, and then Hercules will push something out. And he's not directly buffing it, he's just moving it. So yeah, you're going to get an extra trigger from Human Torch, or if you played Phoenix Force on top of Multiple Man, moving stuff into Kraven's lane. Maybe you've got Silk and Kraven bouncing all over. I mean, there's some good potential here, and the games are definitely going to get a bit crazy. So in terms of fun, I think Hercules is going to be pretty fun. Again, imagine a Silk that is just bouncing around every turn. It's going to get one more bounce from Hercules. Human Torches could get insanely powerful because you move them once, Hercules move them a second time. In terms of flexibility, it's not there. Basically, you're looking at move decks or something that's really taking advantage of Kraven, Silk combo, something like that. And I also think being competitive, he's not there either. Okay, I'm talking about how you can move these cards for free, and that's great, and you can get a really big Human Torch, but you can already do that. There's already cards that move other cards, move just isn't that strong. And Hercules, I don't think is helping move that much because he costs 4. That's very expensive. Move decks traditionally have been too expensive. You've got all these combo cards, but your board gets full and you can't afford playing everything on the same turn. It just feels clunky, and Hercules is clunky. 6 power isn't even that great. Okay, Iron Lad is a 4/6. Iron Lad is an amazing card. Hercules should have more than 6 power. I hope they release him with maybe 7 or 8 power. Maybe they buff him up a bit before he gets released on January 9th. But I just don't think he's that good. I don't think he's adding value. Again, like I said, there's already cards that can move things. And if you play him on 4, he's only triggering twice because he can only trigger once each turn. So he's just giving you 1 extra trigger on turn 5 and turn 6. But instead of playing Hercules, you could play Phoenix Force on turn 4 or something, okay? You could play something else to move cards around. You don't need Hercules. I'm just not sure where he fits in as a 4-cost card. So competitive, I'm saying it's not there. I'm saying he looks pretty weak as is. So if he does not get changed from this stat line, I'm definitely passing on him, okay? He's in Spotlight Caches with Howard the Duck and Werewolf by Night. Most people aren't super excited for Howard, pretty mid-card, and Werewolf by Night just got nerfed. So Hercules, in my opinion, is pretty passable. But next up, we do have Miek. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'll call him Miek. Miek is a 1-cost, 1-powered card with the ability that after each turn, if you discarded any cards, you're going to gain +1 power for each discarded card and move Miek once. Okay, so no matter how many cards you discard, Miek will just move once, but he will gain +1 power for each card that was discarded. Now Miek is going into Series 4, so he's only going to be 3,000 tokens, and that's pretty awesome, especially because I think Miek is pretty strong. I mean, you're really giving a lot of cheap power to the discard archetype. Traditionally, discard just hasn't felt super strong or flexible. The cards are kind of more expensive. You see Hella Casino discard kind of reigning supreme, but now you've got Blade got buffed, Black Knight also recently got buffed, and Miek now are 3 1-cost cards in the discard archetype that are all pretty strong. So I think he's worth picking up. Just to show what I think about him, I think he's very fun. Not only does he power up, but he's moving across the board. Flexibility, I don't think so. He's really just a discard deck card. But in discard, I think he's very, very strong. I think he's extremely competitive. Again, you no longer just need this MODOK Hella combo. I mean, you could just have Miek, Morbius, Dracula, and just turn 6, play MODOK, and at the end of turn 6, Miek will gain +1 power for each card discarded. Let's say you discarded, 5 or 6 cards. Miek becomes like a 1/6 and he moves around. And that's after the end of the game. So your opponent cannot hit Miek with Shadow King because it happens at the end of the turn. Okay? Turn 6, Miek might be a 1/1 when the cards are played out. And then in that after turn phase, he bounces around and becomes a 1/6 or 1/7. Start as a 1/1. Okay? I mean, it's just really flexible in discard. So in terms of archetypes, it's not flexible. But in discard, it's got a lot of potential. It allows you to play different style of discard decks, in my opinion, even combining it with move. And if you've got Caiera, 1-cost cards are protected. So this could be very good synergy with the month as a whole. He is coming out with Annihilus and Phoenix Force. Both of those are solid cards. I do think Annihilus is a little bit better, but Phoenix Force as a 4-cost card is also pretty good. So I'm excited for Miek. I would not be surprised if he is one of the best cards that we see come out in January. Okay, he's just that good in my opinion. But then we've got Grandmaster. Grandmaster is a 2-cost 0-powered card with the on reveal ability to move one of your other on reveal cards here to the middle location, and its ability happens again. So wherever you play Grandmaster, let's say it's in the left lane, if you just have one on reveal card in the left lane, you play Grandmaster there, he will move that on reveal card to the middle, and its on reveal will happen again. Okay, So I don't know what happens if you just play Grandmaster in the middle. I don't know if you need to play him on the left or the right and hit a card there. But, you know, this looks pretty strong. He's going into Series 5. He's going to be 6,000 tokens. And, you know, I'm just going to skip straight to the star rating. I think he's busted. I think Grandmaster is straight up busted, OP, very, very overpowered, and he's going to get nerfed. Why? He's a 2-cost, 0-powered card. And his ability is so open. I mean, Mystique is a 3-0. Mystique copies an ongoing ability the turn after, or immediately after the first ability was played. Grandmaster costs 1 less than Mystique. That's cheaper, that's better. He triggers an honor reveal again. There are more honor reveal cards in the game than there are ongoings, and there's some bigger honor reveal abilities that change the game even more, something like Galactus, imagine. And it doesn't need to be right after. Okay, you could play an honor reveal card on the left location on turn 4, do something else on turn 5, turn 6, play Grandmaster on the left to hit that turn 4 card. Okay, it's so flexible. It works with so many different things. It's going to create some crazy fun moments. I think it's extremely competitive. Also, 0 power is so good. Not only does it work with Mr. Negative perfectly, but it gets a discount from Ravana. So if you have Ravana in your deck, you could turn 6 Arnim Zola plus Grandmaster to hit Arnim Zola again. You double Arnim Zola on the final turn. And I don't even think that's the most busted combo, okay? I don't know what that is. I think there are multiple busted combos with this, because the fact that you can have a 2 or even 1 cost card if it gets reduced by Ravana, just trigger any honor reveal ability, like you choose, that is absolutely bonkers. That is so nuts. It's so open-ended. There's so many honor reveal abilities out there. He's gonna go crazy. The only way to really stop him is to like play Cosmo. Okay, if your opponent plays a big honor reveal somewhere, you play Cosmo thinking they're gonna Grandmaster it. But he's so flexible. He can come down on any turn. Even, you know, a big 3-cost card that has a good honor reveal, you then just play Grandmaster on 4, or you can play him on 5, or you can play him on 6. I mean, he's so flexible. He's way too cheap for his ability. Okay, I think there's a decent chance they change his cost before he gets released. Maybe make him a 3 cost. Even then, I think he's still strictly better than Mystique, because there are just more honor reveals than ongoing. So he's coming out into Spotlight Caches with Loki and Hitmonkey. Loki, I think, will get nerfed before then, before January 23rd. So Loki will be weaker. I think Hitmonkey is actually going to be pretty good in the January season. As I mentioned, I think we're going to see a resurgence of Zoo decks. And Hitmonkey works very, very well in Zoo decks, where you're just playing a bunch of cheap cards. So it could actually be good Spotlight Caches to open. But regardless, even if they put 2 random crappy cards in a Spotlight Cache, Grandmaster, if he sits as is with his current ability, I think he's absolutely busted, and you should 100% pick him up unless you don't want a card that's going to get nerfed after like a week or 2 when people find multiple broken combos and that's all everybody's playing. So that's enough on Grandmaster. I just think he's nuts. But lastly, we have Beta Ray Bill, a 4-cost, 5-powered card with the on-reveal ability to shuffle Stormbreaker into your deck. And Stormbreaker is a 0-cost, 1-powered card with the on-reveal ability to double Beta Ray Bill's power. So, very similar to Thor. Thor is a 3-4 instead of a 4-5 that shuffles Mjolnir into your deck, and that's a 0-0. So Stormbreaker actually has 1 more power than Mjolnir for whatever reason, and it doubles his power. Okay, Mjolnir gives Thor +6. So Thor being a 3-4, he gets +6, he becomes a 3-10. Beta Ray Bill, he gets doubled, he's a 4-10. But if you trigger it multiple times, Beta Ray Bill pays off more than Thor. Okay, and now we really have the full package. Previously, Thor just didn't really see much play, see a little bit of play in Lockjaw decks, but usually didn't see too much, and you would just play Jane Foster and Mr. Negative. That's really where Jane Foster sees almost all of our play. Mr. Negative decks to draw those flipped cost cards. But now you could turn 3 Thor, turn 4 Beta Ray Bill, turn 5 Jane Foster, draw Stormbreaker and Mjolnir if you haven't already. And then turn 6, you're going to play both of those hammers and Odin. Okay, that combo alone, 4 cards, is pretty nuts because you play Odin on top of Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. So Thor gets hit twice, he becomes 16 power, 316, that's pretty bonkers. Beta Ray Bill gets hit twice, so he gets doubled twice, he becomes 20 power. That's a 420 Blaze It. I mean, that's insanely strong. And you've got Jane Foster on the board, who's 8 power. Odin is also 8 power. So that 4-card combo alone is going to be really good. And then obviously you've got space in the rest of your deck to put other stuff. Okay, maybe even go with Grandmaster. Trigger an on reveal ability again. I mean, there's something pretty strong here. I think in terms of fun, I think he's alright. Maybe not the most flexible, but it does create a new card package. Again, you're going to have Thor, Bill, and Jane Foster combo in a lot of different things, or at least a couple different things. Okay, it's a solid 3-card combo. Maybe you usually have Odin in there as well for a 4-card combo, but it can work in Lockjaw, it can work on its own, it can work in just like a good cards, good stats deck. So flexibility, he's got a little bit of flexibility, not tied to one archetype, kind of creates a new archetype or at least package to fit into some other archetype. And I think he's pretty competitive. Again, if you pop off Stormbreaker twice, he is a 4-cost, 20 powered card. So he's going to be Series 5, 6,000 tokens. We'll have to see closer to that if we think he's worth a full 6,000 tokens, but he is coming into Spotlight caches on January 30th with Galactus and Elsa. Both of those cards are alright. Elsa has taken a lot of hits. She used to be insanely powerful. She's been nerfed twice, so she's not in a great spot. Galactus is still okay, and I think with Celine coming out, Galactus is actually going to be a bit better, a bit of a stronger deck, although pretty telegraphed, so may not win too many cubes. But it's an alright Spotlight cache, so we'll have to see if Beta Ray Bill is going to be worth it, but I do think he is pretty strong. So to sum everything up, I think that the January 2024 season of Marvel Snap, first of all, it just has a lot of cards because we're getting a Season Pass card and a new card release on the same week. This was supposedly supposed to happen in December, but then they just removed Firestar from the lineup, so we didn't have that. But now week 1, there's a new Season Pass card, and a new card in the Spotlight caches. Okay, so there's a lot of new cards, and I think besides Hercules, they're all very playable. I think they're all pretty competitive. I think Hercules right now looks like the clear weakest card of the season, and I think Grandmaster, again, I can't even think of the most busted combo, but they are out there. They are absolutely out there. He's crazy. So I think overall the season extremely strong. You're going to want to be keeping up. You're going to want to be opening most of these cards. And the meta is just going to be insanely different. It's going to go crazy. A lot of new decks and just a lot of new, almost full archetypes. So I think it's going to be a huge change. And I'm excited for it. So let me know what you think in the comments down below about these new cards. If you think they're as crazy as I do, or if you think I'm really overhyping some of them, and you just think these cards are whatever or kind of bad, or if you think Hercules is amazing and I'm missing some key combo that's just gonna go crazy. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.